to the issue of, where, when, how, right? And in this instance, we're just talking about the when, because the where had already occurred. So now for me in preference, especially, and this is the hardest part to kind of remind everybody of, it's as you gain experience, right, you will be able to tell when it's going to make it and when it's not going to make it, right? So and my analogy on this, and and it's I think everyone hates it, but it's kind of like when you become like a new driver and you're 16 years old. It's very, very important that you focus on all the rules, because you don't have enough experience yet to know when you should or should not violate the rules. So focus on the rules. This isn't about you getting as much money, or as being as good of a driver as let's say your dad's teaching you to drive, right? This isn't about you being as good as a driver as your dad. This is about becoming as good as a driver as your dad is now someday, right? So but you got to start off within the rule sets, the same ones your dad started off with, right? So that way you can learn the way things really, really work. And then once you start to understand those things, then you can start to wiggle outside the rules a little bit. So like for instance, last week, one of the things you guys that's a really big buyer. What's that? 910. Something just happened.
Well, it's rejecting right now.
No, that was an unusually large amount of volume. That was like initiative volume or something. That was very, very big. Like, and there's not even news right now, so something's going on. Okay. We're coming right off of NQ, right off a monthly S4. That could have been a short covering. Did the book build at all afterwards? Not really.
Yeah, I turned on Benzinga, nothing yet.
I was just typing to Jared and BBT. It feels like a short cover to me. It didn't really add market structure to the top side. So it doesn't. I don't really feel like it didn't feel like an initiative buy from someone who is intending to profit later. It felt like someone who is buying to profit now. So I think but bottom start from shorts covering, right? When we bottom start because we run out of sellers that are willing to keep selling, and if our shorts start covering, that's what we're looking for. So now, that is often that initiative buyer that we're kind of seeing is often just a short covering that creates that kind of now. So the response to it is going to be what's key, right? The response to it is what's key. Just because a short cover doesn't mean the market's turning around. It could have just been a short covering, right? So the question now is, as we reoffer, that'll create a very a very unfair. My brain's a little off. And sorry, that'll create a very inefficient price delivery, as you can see it did. So now they reoffered back to see if they found more buying at that level, and right now it doesn't look like they're finding very much. So if they don't find buying there, then we'll probably sell down and start fishing buyers, because it'll they're gonna try and jig this short out.
Orders going down there, 56.50. Yes. Big order down on the NQ, down 19,675 got pulled too right at that time. I wonder if they just got impatient to buy.
I feel like we're fishing a buyer down here. I think that's what they want to do. They're working hard to fish a
Yeah.
buyer. They just haven't
Does look
found
like
them.
that.
But that short cover right there was nice. We just came right back to that level we're offering right now. The question is, do we get more buying right here? We do, actually. So let's see if this can... That was pretty nice. Let's see if we can do something with it on this candle. They buy more. That was very interesting. Everyone's quiet, staring at your computers. All right. I mean, we still got 15 minutes till this party starts on the equities. I'm still digging Amazon. Meta, and then I really like MSTR actually, but just for later. Like if the whole market goes into a nice rally and gets rocking and rolling, we got this wide ranged R3 short on MSTR we can pull off a little later.
Hey, Thor, quick question for you.
What you got?
So basically, everything that's lower range, we're looking for possibly a bounce off S4 or maybe a breakdown, depending on what the buyers and the sellers are doing. And then everything that's higher range is kind of like less desirable because really our only plays are a squeeze up to R3 and then shorting off that. Am I right when I think that?
Well, it depends. We still have 15 minutes. So if some of these tickers can get a little bit higher, they'll actually open up inside of S4, which is going to make them really bad for the higher range ones, right? Because now you basically got a higher range, wider range, and you're opening near S4. I don't got plays for that. Now, to be honest, the reason I don't have plays for that is think about the last time off the top of your head you can remember a bunch of tickers all opening in this range. You won't. It happens very rarely. So unfortunately, you can't develop a trading system around something that doesn't happen very often. So that's why I was kind of saying at the beginning, today's like one of those days where we might actually, might be one of those days where you actually hang out for a little bit and just, let us get a bit of a rally going and let some of these tickers get up to R3 if they're the lower range ones. If they're the higher range ones, they're going to be hard to play because you have a wide range and you're opening on the low end of the range. So it's just, bleh. You know what I mean? It's not ideal.
Yeah.
But
okay, cool.
We'll see what happens. That's why I'm kind of liking MSTR, and then I liked like Amazon, for instance. It's in a lower wide range. So I think if we get a dip at the open, we could play S4 long on Amazon being in a lower wide range. And that lets us fit the concept of maybe the market being a long, but that allows us to play it in the correct one. The only reason this isn't a play being called right now is because the ATR is inside of R3. But I'll give it a pass on that. If it gives me a nice sell to S4 and finds me a buyer here, I'd be willing to do that. And then kind of a similar idea on Meta. Basically, session low is already right at S4. So that's kind of like, hello, come test me and see what happens. Wide range, S4, lower range, right? I could see us hitting that. And if we get a rally there, our ATR high is still up around R3. So that's kind of why I leaned into these two. just because I feel like in today's range, I do kind of expect us to probably cover rally a little bit today. But which just means we're going to be buying S4, and I prefer not to buy S4 in a higher range because that just tends to underperform.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, the hardest part, the hardest part about putting this whole trading system thing together is how freaking arbitrary it is, right? Like, why? Because I did. Why? Because I needed to. Why? Because I had to make choices. Why? Because there were too many options. Why? Because, you know what I mean? Like, it's just BS, all of it, right? You're creating rules for how you're going to interact with the market because it's about performance, right? And performance is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. So if you're not doing the same thing over and over again, you can't expect the same result. So that's where you always start. Start with doing the same thing over and over again, no matter what it is. Just do the same thing over and over again. And if it doesn't work, don't keep doing it because that's crazy, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is crazy. Doing it over and over again, expecting the same result is performance. So if you're doing it over and over again and you're not getting the result, you should vary, but vary slightly. Right, so you just kind of start somewhere and then start making small incremental changes until you finally get something that works. So part of my system construction was me running statistics on just how often does this ticker even open in this range. And then so the reason why I never buy higher ranges above S4 is because when I ran that statistic, it was like that happens like 1 out of every 100 trading days or something like that, where you're going to have them opening in this position, or 1 every 50 or every 30 or 40 or something. Like, obviously, if it's not going to happen once every 4 or 5 days, you know what I mean? It's not even worth even thinking about, because it's like, what am I going to do? Wait, once a month and take a trade? I'm not that good. I can't do that.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you if in a mentoring session one time, we could totally go over your story of how you and Mark kind of collaborated and how you built your system, just to kind of hear how you think about things and why you thought that way. And I feel like it'd be really helpful to understand the thinking behind a lot of this.
I mean, brief overview I could actually do in just a second, which is kind of, so basically what happened is I started off trading in Bear Bull Traders as a momentum trader like everybody else, and found myself very not good at it. And then so I started looking for other methodology. I got recommended to VPA by Norm, who was a moderator in BBT. And when he recommended VPA for me, I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I actually started winning more trades, and I found I was picking the right direction, the vast majority of the time. And I was like, okay, well, that's really cool. And I'm picking the right direction the vast majority of the time. I'm like, this is really exciting. So, but I still really wasn't making money, because what would happen is I would get 1R, 2R, I'd partial, or and then it would come back and stop me out. I never really got directional moves that lasted for a long time. And since I wasn't good at momentum trading, I wasn't able to catch the move mid-momentum, right? That's kind of the advantage to being a momentum trader, is you get in the trade and it just keeps going in your direction because it's a momentum trade. Momentum trader, if it's coming against you, you're wrong, right? Because but for us, it's quite the opposite, right? That's what makes our stuff hard, is it comes against us all the frickin' time, right? Where it's just a totally different way of playing it. But so I found I was doing that. So I started using more or less an open, low, high, and close method. So I would basically take the high of the day and the low of the day, and I would use a Fibonacci retracement from high to low. And then I had it set for basically around 30% of the top was my selling range, 30% of the bottom was my buying range. And that started helping me out quite a bit, but it still wasn't really working. And I was already talking to this guy named Mark a little bit here and there. But it was really around then when he kind of reached out to me, and he was like, hey, dude, we'd already been talking a bit and working together and having fun. And then he was like, hey, dude, he's like, if you really like that, I really think you're going to like this Camarillo pivots. and he's like, there's lots of guys out there that use them. There's this Pivot Boss guy that uses like his own like version of them. He's like, and then there's like the DOS ones, and he's like, almost every platform has a version of them. He's like, but it more or less does what you're already doing with the OLHC stuff. You just won't have to like every single time I'd pick a ticker, I'd have to go in there and pick up the daily chart, draw lines, mark the lines, figure out my play. It was a lot of work, you know what I mean? So he's like, these will just draw it for you. And that's actually what started it, right? It was just a convenience to kind of aid the system I was already in. But then it caused me to fall down a really big rabbit hole. Because once I started paying attention to the architecture that was created within CAMs, it kind of piqued my curiosity because I started noticing the accuracy of especially the ones in DOS at the time were just incredibly accurate. I mean, moving for days to stop to the penny and then reverse and go the other direction. I was like, okay, I see you. Like, this is cool. Right. So, and then, so Mark and I started working a little bit together, but Mark's, main contribution to me was actually kind of what his main contribution is to most of you, was actually teaching me value. One of the things that Mark has always had a better grasp of was recognize. That was an interesting order. One of Mark's big things that he's always been just so incredible at is just his ability to recognize where buyers and sellers will be incentivized to act. So once I'd kind of learned more about that and I'd put that into my own terms, I started realizing that I can see value in space. Basically, like I can just read premium, discount, and value, and I can just see as the volume. Once I knew volume, and once I'd learned value, so now I still just needed to constrain that, right? Where do I get short? Where's my buying ranges? Where's my selling ranges? And then that's when, I really started leaning into CAMs. But that went to the next level when I got to go to the NYSE. That was a really, so that really changed things quite a bit. The reason why that changed things quite a bit for me was, how do you say this? Okay, near-death experience, basically, right? Like you don't believe in God. I'm not very religious, and then you have a near-death experience. All of a sudden, you're a Southern Baptist. You're speaking tongues, right?
That looks interesting.
Because you've seen it, right? It smacked you in the face, and you really took it, right? So for me, the NYSE was like that, right? Like all of these things I kind of understood or kind of knew. Like it's kind of like sin. I think behavioral slippage is basically the same thing as sin, right? When we speak in religious context, sin and behavioral slippage are the same thing. That's why God doesn't really get mad at you if you sin, because it's behavioral slippage. You know what I mean? It's not even like you meant to do it. It's just something that kind of happens, and it's based upon your life and your upbringing, all these different things that come into it. And basically, your job religiously is to decrease the amount of behavioral slippage you have over time, right? Just like your job to be. So for me, imagine what would you sin if you had went and met him? Like what if God's like, sup, how's it going? You want to come hang out? And you're like, yeah, I do want to hang out. And he's like, all right, cool, go back to Earth now, and we'll hang out in like 80 years. And you go back to Earth and you start sinning again. All right, you're just kind of stupid. Right, because this isn't behavioral slippage. This is just you making a direct conscious decision to ignore what you know to be true. Right. So once I had went to the market, being convicted in my decisions was significantly easier because I went and talked to people for 2 days by myself, nonstop. Hey, does this stuff work? And they're like, yeah. Not only is this stuff working, this is what we've built the architecture of the market upon. And you're just like, oh, well, that's cool.
And so was it the CAMs, like the Camarilla specifically, or?
So all of them do it a little bit different. That's the reason why there's variation. So some of them use floor pivots, like Tuchman. Peter Tuchman doesn't use CAMs at all. Peter Tuchman, but he's small change, so who cares? No, I'm kidding. Love him. But he is, compared to Citadel, he ain't shit. And he'll admit that all day, every day. He uses floor pivots, and so do many others, right? Citadel uses Camarillas, almost exactly the way DOS uses them. So with very little variation, which is not surprising since DOS and Citadel have execution agreements with each other. So,
Hey,
so
Thor?
inside baseball. What's
Thor?
up?
Did you look at Hood?
Hood? Robin of the
Yeah.
Hood? You know, I haven't
The
looked
Hood
at
of
Hood for a
Robin.
while, but it was really interesting the other day.
It's made a nice move right under S4 now, and it's pretty bearish.
Could be a party. The market, after that big short cover, started selling again, but the volume has been very, very weak. It feels trappy. Our pre-market volume feels very trappy. Amazon, why are you squeezing right now? You were supposed to be my buddy.
I think it's probably, I don't know, AMD and NVIDIA are kind of popping up too. Everything else is moving lower.
Let's go surfing now. Everybody's moving. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Woo! Here comes this volume. It's funny, it just started raining like really hard right at the same time. Kind of funny. That's a big hammer coming in on the NQ if we close right here. Why is there no Andrew?
We gotta hit 19,850 first. There it is. 860, sorry. I was misreading it. It's at 50. There's a large order.
A lot of wicks, man. We got some crazy bottoming tails right now on NQ and ES.
Did you see that order at 50 got down and got? Was it 50 or 60? But it went down, got it.
It was 50
50.
on the NQ you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 50.
I mean, it kept flashing. It was a pretty good size order.
Yeah, it was on the book in the pre.
Now we just came back and tested early value high and was rejected. So nobody wanted to buy.
Woo!
God, now we
This
came
drops
back
on really low
way
volume,
higher.
though.
Nobody's there, so that was a short cover.
Yeah. ATR low is actually pretty far down there.
Order submitted. Order filled.
Get down here, Amazon. I wanted Amazon to sell off a little bit. Oh, there's Carla.
There's the next little target. They have
I missed Tesla.
810.
S4 sell would have been a good idea. That could have worked. I don't like these narrow ranges, though.
Order canceled. Order submitted. Order filled.
Up
Muna
and
nagpapapa
dropping.
ay mapagalan pa तो बेटे आजा पर मैं बात कर ही लगा जाना कि आज क्या बना पा के आपे आज
Nvidia in a fun spot. Wish it was in a lower range, not a higher range.
Okay, there was a limit order. Somebody had a limit order on ES. Took 3,000 contracts. 300, sorry. 300 at 56.80 on ES. So we have a bounce on NQ. Coming back up to try and test value low, because a very small value range set.
Here comes that buyer again. Let's see how strong they are this time, Mark. On ES, they were very potent. I think the market feels like it's ready to buy today, but the question is, are they ready to buy today? Are they ready?
We haven't bought premium yet.
No, but we're gonna reoffer this discount area here. It was a
Yep.
fair value area from earlier, like days ago. We are not doing a very good job of fishing out buyers right now, but there's one here, but we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of volume. I mean, the volume's been good, and it's not driving the price down. Like, we had the one big sell at the open. That was big. After that, corresponding volume has been absorbed. So I just don't know if they still need one big press to the downside or if they're ready. Nvidia's order book's flipping a little bit more bullish.
ES is really trying to do it. NQ not as
Tech's
much.
trying to rally right now. NQ's got a bullish order book coming in, and it's pushing. So tech, I mean, and it came off at S4 on the month. I mean, tech's in a really nice juicy spot to buy.
Unless they get a squeeze going, the volume's not coming in yet to justify the push. They couldn't get it. They gotta come back down for more. ES is gonna go and push for S4 maybe? Or does it just simply want to take everybody out at 5,700?
I don't know, man. If we were gonna sell, we'd be doing that. That big hard candle at the beginning, like they're reoffering the consequent encroachment right now on that initial drop. If they buy through it, it'll squeeze and then reoffer from the other side probably. If they reject from it, then well, you know what happens. Buying Nvidia again, right at VWAP. The order book's a little bit weaker now, though. Goes. Hmm. Hell yeah. I just hit my target on Nvidia.
Nice.
Okay, so
So
the
it was a
thought-
higher range, so I kind of yeah, look at that. I played it right below the low here.
they're
but
trying to get it back into yesterday's value. They're not succeeding right now.
Yeah, we could be just testing the spot here, correct, Mark? Like this on NQ.
I don't think so. I think if we were gonna sell, we would have went all the way to ATR low. It does. Now we are dropping volume as we're coming back up, so that is true.
We are very low. I mean, you're correct.
We're super low.
super
We're
low.
off of S4 on almost everything
So,
on the
like,
month.
you know, but
Yeah, hey, not for nothing. Remember when this thing was rallying and I kept saying, man, it's got to go short at some point, and then every day it just kept rallying? It can do that in reverse.
yeah, I can't.
We can just keep going down. I'm not saying we're not headed to S6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Why am I... Anytime I
We
go to
could go
1
up a
minute.
little bit and then get some liquidity and drop it. We got lots of targets above us.
There we go. Look at that. Working.
Slowly,
Now's that-
slowly.
Look at it. Now's that part where you watch it keep going and you're like, ah, should have just kept
I
on.
took in Q long, but I'm not convinced. I didn't take any equities. I just didn't see it. Maybe we'll
There
get a
it is.
reoffer in some of this.
That slow grind up.
It's definitely not as fast as a short. An order block up here. What it does.
Or what was your thought process behind your NVIDIA trade?
So the monthly S4 is down near like 107, and we had found that yesterday on some very incredible volume. I felt like the market itself wasn't really going to sell off too long. So, you know, I kind of came in today looking for ways to get long. I'm also long Meta right now, for the record. Kind of a very similar idea. Came down into S4 and it bounced. I ran this below 603. So kind of the same idea, although Meta's actually in a lower range. NVIDIA's in a higher range, which makes me a little naughty on this trade, admittingly. Because, you know, normally I wouldn't play this trade in a lower range. I just made an allotment here because it's a very wide range. It's a narrow range, not a wide range. It's the narrow range. And I felt like if we bottomed here, I didn't expect to deviate down. And the order book looked bullish to me. So and that was the main thing. I had a really good, so as it found a buyer here right off of S4, it pulled right back in here and then hit my TOS S4. And then I bought right off of there and I threw my stop actually right down here, like gave it a little extra space. So a pretty easy target hit. But yeah, normally on a higher range, I wouldn't do that. But I was kind of telling everybody as I came in, I'm like, this opening position here is really weird. So, but the good trade I really like, and I'm still hanging on to that one as well as this Meta one. Feeling pretty good about this, but we'll see what happens.
I'm short.
Order submitted. Order filled.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, right back up to it, huh?
So you go short ES or NQ, Mark?
Thank you.
I went short ES.
Oh, an S4? Yeah. Now it's time to watch. Is it going to continue or is it not? So here's something that I've taught people for a long time. When we open outside of prior multi-day value, which we did on both ES and NQ, everybody that was long from the bottom of that wakes up and they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They're still trying to be responsive trading back into value. If they don't succeed getting back to value, we trade away. They'll start covering. And away we go. And the initiatives come in and start driving it further away from prior value. Now, can the responsive come in here and try and drive up again to try and get back into prior day value? Yeah. Now you have to see who's winning starting right now, because we came back and on ES tested POC. NQ tested low of value. They could help each other right here by a push. Testing value low on NQ and POC on ES.
MSTR went the wrong way.
Order canceled. Order submitted. Order filled.
Chow, chow, chow. Take those orders. Chow, 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 chow.
Okay, coming back up to test it again on ES.
I'm telling you, anytime we sell, it's being absorbed. Market makers are accumulating right now, at least a little bit.
Look at that.
Not saying they're not willing to accumulate lower, for the record. I'm just saying they're accumulating. You noticed yesterday on a lot of Friday, did you notice on a lot of tickers we were driving down on green dots? Why would you drive down on green dots?
Limit order buy.
Right. So, but anytime market orders come in, the market maker, instead of moving up the book, the market maker absorbs the market buys and then keeps filling limit sells or limit buys to the downside with the market sells. Right. So he's distributing into limit buys to the downside while taking on all the market traffic. If the market maker was intending to just continue selling off for a long time, the market maker would just distribute. Right. Why hold inventory when you can just buy back lower? Right. So, but the market maker is showing that he's starting to warehouse, or they are starting to warehouse, which is a solid indication that, that at some point in time in the near future, they're probably going to get a little rally time going. I'm gonna grab a fresh drink. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Ooh. Oh, that was a punch in the face for anybody who was long.
No, I went back short again.
That was a sweep.
Yep.
Somebody wanted in bad.
Order canceled. Order submitted. Order filled.
Good, 6 hours in a day. That's it. I'm done. So I went short in before the mark, and I kind of I cut it earlier, and then I went back in again at 1950. I'm sorry, 19850.
19,850. So you shorted at POC.
I shorted the
I want to pull back. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
You're all right with that.
Yep. patient play good. If I've been patient,
Patience, right?
that's my weakness now. Like because like one day I do good with patient, and other day I have no patient and I start losing. And actually, like I just start listening to Trading to the Zone.
Okay.
So just this book is so far so good.
Leslie, I guess you're hating your short from 2,000, 20,000, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I'm just not sure here where to take it off, Mark. Right now I'm targeting S6 on instrument settings, but I don't really know where.
Well, you're in a free fall. You don't know. So
Okay.
this is where you just have to turn around and say, are you waiting for a big volume signal where a big person took profit? Should you not do what they do? It doesn't mean it's going to stop. You'll never know where it's going to stop. You just have to take profit where you've got enough profit to justify your trade that day. So from 20,000 down here, all right. I don't know where you put your stop. Theoretically.
So now NQ as the previous day close.
I mean, my stop would have been at 20,000. I think I would have put it the MPL at 20,040. So if you were doing it from there, what would my RVR be? So from there to we're
back.
already at 12R if you put your stop at MPL.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with a 12R trade?
Well, I already took some profit, so I just
Oh,
left
okay.
one contract on. I just don't know, for how long to leave it on.
Well, then just leave it until it breaks value high from today at 19,900. It breaks that, take it off the table. So it hasn't shown it's going any higher yet.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. That would still give me. Let me see. Remove this.
Still, like when we push lower, like even like there at like 945, that was a lot of volume that was completely absorbed. Like it didn't result in a lot. The volume increased and it just resulted in narrow bodied candles and then a hammer. So it's I'm not saying we're bouncing here right now because I haven't seen an initiative buyer yet. All I'm saying is that anytime there has been an attempt to sell greatly, that selling is absorbed.
We had a nice big sell on NQ on the book at 19,770.
19,850. Oh.
That's
yeah, but that just
50
brought us back down to discount at
Right.
1970, and then as we tried to push lower from discount, we got volume, but the candles were narrow, truncated, and then hammered.
Yeah.
So it's as we tried to offer that, what selling came in was absorbed. Like I said, I haven't seen an initiative buyer per se. But I anytime the sellers are really putting down the hammer, the market makers going, I'll take it. So it's just kind of seems a little trappy to me for the shorts. I feel like the market makers may be getting ready to get their squeeze on here in a short bit.
Yeah, we're just cycling up and down over this one area at fairly, low to moderate volume.
Yeah, that pullback, the volume dropped on the pullback.
I've got enough. Let's go. We haven't in the market come back and tested at least an ES back up to MPL from 2 days. We're under range.
I think an NQ heads back to 20,000 here in a bit. It's not that far. It's not even that far away. I think our ATR high is way up near like 20,200 or something like that. But we'll see. Again, I still don't know if I see. I mean, I can't say that's happening right now. I haven't seen the initiative buyer come in. So right now, we wait. And we enjoy having the NVIDIA winner. Probably going to have a meta loser. I'll probably stop my day, actually. 50-50. Selling. Sellers coming in hot. All right, there went meta. We're almost there. Man, I almost shorted when we pulled back near S4 for a move to S6. I just wasn't sure if I threw a bracket on it that I would have enough distance to get to a target by it. Dang it. One thing I will notice, under 19,700, our order book goes dark. Wow. Talk about catching the squeeze on NVIDIA. It's dumping like crazy now. Well, I'm not seeing anything I'm like super in love with now, and I had one winner and one loser, so I'm gonna stop trading. So I'll probably just call that a done. And then nice day though. Made $600. Not bad. Wow. Almost there. Hopefully some of y'all got short on MNQ or ES and got a little bit of that drop.
I did get the drop.
Nice. I'm now that I'm like, I wish I'd have done that. It's actually pretty perfect. It opened in the right spot. It pulled back to it. Good volume as it sold away. Then